Alright, hello everybody. Today I'm going to be doing a quick little review and video of my Tokyo60 keyboard. So this, I have put GMK white on black. I have Duroc linear switches, which I've stem swapped with Kale Speed silvers. I have a couple of artisans up here on my backslash and tilde keys. And I have, I also have, of course, Duroc stabilizers in here. Everything's been lubed. There's a helicopter going overhead. I'm sorry if you can hear that. Everything's been lubed. All the switches have been filmed. The stabilizers have been wholly modded. There is, I've flipped it over as if you could see. There is MK Ultra plate foam in here, and then I put sorbitane foam between the case and the PCB. So this keyboard, Tokyo60 is the actual keyboard that I built. It is a 60% HHKB layout keyboard. It has south-facing switches, which is what you want. It means no interference on the second row of keycaps in the cherry profile. It is a integrated plate design, which has its pros and cons. Personally, I'm okay with an integrated plate design. I wanted a nice, compact HHKB layout keyboard that is not too expensive, which fits the bill for this keyboard. This keyboard is around $160 to build. Well, no, not to build. It's $160 for the keyboard kit itself. This one came out probably in the more $400 range, because then I paired that with a $120 keycap set, $50 worth of switches, and then some, and then lube and film and a couple artisans, and I got the cable for it, as well as the foam and the stabilizer. So this one probably came out in the low 400s, but you could very easily build this keyboard for around about, I don't know, 200, 300 bucks. In the box you get, I believe they're GMK screw-in stabilizers, although it is not actually disclosed on the drop page. And those would probably work just fine. I just got Duroc because I know that Duroc is better, and if I, here I can do my shift key over here, if I take off a keycap, my switch came with it, that leads me to my second point. This is a hot swap keyboard. If you see it, it matches the stabilizers with the stems. So this keyboard supports screw-in stabs, which is really important. It is a integrated plate, like I said, and it is hot swap, so you don't need to solder, and that is something that was very important for me, because I don't have a soldering iron, and the point of wanting to get a more budget keyboard kind of goes out of the, it just goes away if you're needing to buy a soldering iron as well. So this is a hot swap keyboard. It has a really nice PCB. It's very low profile. If you can see, it is very thin. In fact, there's actually a divot cut out into the bottom of the case, so that the hot swap sockets can actually go into a small amount. This keyboard supports any MX style switches. There is no solder option, so if for some reason you prefer soldering over hot swap, you're kind of out of luck. So there's all those specs. Now on to my experience with it. First off, if you are a gamer, which, I mean, as you guys know, collegiate Overwatch player, having the control key where the caps lock is meant to be, it takes getting used to for sure, but after about a week I had the muscle memory for it, and now I actually prefer it, because if you have your keyboard right here, right, this is crunching the pinky, whereas this is just reaching. So this is kind of just, if you put your pinky down, this is kind of just where your pinky is. So it's this is, don't get me wrong, this is more comfortable, but this for me is easier than this. That being said, you could of course always just bind your caps lock to crouch, which is what I've done on my so in case I'm ever using another keyboard, I still get to have the muscle memory of having it up here. So this is certainly not a reason to buy the keyboard, but it is, if you are looking at the keyboard, this is not a reason to look away from it. Other than that, in terms of layout things, the small Windows keys are really nice. I prefer them. As you can see, I have actually, my lowest row is actually inverted. This is just because it's more comfortable for the spacebar to be flip backwards, and then also for the Alt and Windows keys, it is just more comfortable. Kind of goes in the direction that your thumb wants to. In in terms of other layout things, it is pretty much a standard 60%. Your right shift, instead of being a 2.75 unit shift, it's split up into a 1 unit function key and a 1.75 unit shift, which I think a lot more boards are going towards nowadays for the 60%, especially custom boards. You won't find that on like your Ducky 1-2 Mini, but most custom 60% boards you will find that they are split up that way. Other layout things, your backspace key is now where your backslash should be, and then your backspace is split up into 2 keys. Personally, I have these bound to delete and backslash. You can obviously do whatever you want. I do recommend having your backslash be one of these 2 keys. I just have delete. Normally I'd have tilde here, but since I'm using QMK, I can have my escape key perform a tilde when I shift and click it. Speaking of QMK, this runs on QMK. QMK is fantastic. I am not sure if this runs VIA because I have never used VIA and I have no intention of using VIA, but I know this runs QMK, and I have had no issues programming it so far. It's super easy. I am not going to tell you how to program a keyboard with QMK, but if you're interested in it, I know Mech Merlin has a really good video about how to use QMK. I have gotten really used to QMK because if you guys are long-time watchers of the channel, you know that I also have a Plank, and that was my main keyboard for a few months. So that was very heavy in the QMK. I really got to learn how QMK works with that keyboard. So this has been just an absolute breeze. In terms of like how you program things, personally, I have 3 different layers for different keyboard layouts. So I have my QWERTY, I have my Colmac, I have my Dvorak. So if I want to use those, I use QWERTY most of the time, but that way I have those hardware switches if I need to. This keyboard does have RGB, however, I just activated it. It is very hard to see. I think you might be able to see it a teeny bit under the shift key. Yeah, you see it under the shift key there. This keyboard, when you purchase it, has an option for an acrylic diffuser that goes between the top and the bottom plate. And it is RGB shine through that will go through there. Personally, I did not get the acrylic diffuser because, 1, I think it's a little tacky, and 2, it won't work well with the foam that I've put in the bottom of the case. But that is why the RGB is there. But again, you cannot really see it through the keys at all. Side note, speaking of foam, you need to put foam in this keyboard. It's an integrated plate, it's all aluminum. This thing is so loud, as you're going to see in the typing test that I'm going to put at the end of the video. I made sure to do a typing test before I put foam in and before I lube the switches, and then I just did a new one. This keyboard sounds like shit without foam. It's pingy, it's loud. With foam, it sounds pretty good. Personally, I really like it. I think it's a bit of a deep sound signature. And I think you get that from the integrated plate, although I could be wrong on that. But it's a nice sound signature, but you need the foam for that. So to continue, obviously you're missing your F keys, you're missing your nav cluster, you're missing your arrows. Arrows are the biggest thing about this keyboard. I don't use arrows that much. I just have the Vim keys bound to arrows, and I hold my FN and I hit one of these. Other variations include having these 4 keys right here be your arrows, so up, down, left, right. You can also do WASD or your arrows, but I just wanted it to be in a situation where I could use one hand and hit all my arrows. And I've also been used the Vim arrow keys from my Plank. Nav cluster, I just do what I did on pretty much every 60%, which is I have my nav cluster here, and then since you don't really need page up, page down, I put not print screen. I believe I put scroll lock right here. So I have my home, delete, and insert, and then I have my scroll lock, and then over here I have 2 buttons that actually both do print screen. Media keys, I have play, pause, forward, back, mute. I don't have volume up, down. That is because for some people you might want to have volume up, down. Personally, I use a headphone amp, which has a manual knob for adjusting volume, and I just always have my volume in my PC set to 100%, and I just use the knob. So I never need to use on keyboard volume control, although if that's something you want, you'll have to figure that out. And then I just have my F keys bound to my numbers. And then I just have like a random keyboard settings, like my N. If I hold function and I hit N, that toggles my N key rollover. Yeah, so in terms of like the layers and the stuff you're going to want to program, that's what I have. I don't know what you're going to want to do. Oh, and then I also have like disable Windows key if I just function Windows key, and then if I function hit this Windows key, it enables it again. I don't know what you want to do. That is what I have, so that can be like a little bit of a template for what you want to do with this keyboard. But yeah, it is a super, super flexible keyboard. You can pretty much do anything you want with it. You can put any switches you want in it. You can put any keycaps you want on it. It has a lot of programmability, obviously. It's QMK. You can do literally anything you want with any key. I think that it's a very good keyboard to do everything, which is why I bought it. I'm an English major. I type a whole bunch for school, but I also am a collegiate Overwatch player, so I also do plenty of Overwatch and gaming. And this keyboard kind of just does everything that I want, while also being very ergonomic and looking amazing. I really, really like the look of this keyboard. As I alluded to earlier, I upgraded this keyboard from the Plank. The Plank, when I originally purchased it, I wanted it to be a travel keyboard because, again, English major, I want to be able to have a mechanical keyboard to type on wherever I go, and that's why I bought the Plank, but it ended up being a keyboard that I really enjoyed. However, eventually I just started missing the arrow keys again, and although this is not an incredibly important point, something else I really missed was the sorry about that, the video cut out. Another thing that I really missed was the compatibility of keycaps. As you can see, I got a GMK set on here. There are very few GMK sets, let alone other keycap sets, that you can get for a Plank or an ortholinear keyboard like that. That is not a big thing for me, but it's something worth noting about this keyboard. The only differences between this keyboard and others is that you have your control key and your shift key. Sorry, not your shift, your backspace. You have your control key and your backspace, which are both... The control and the backspace are kind of hard to find. But if you're okay with having a caps lock and a backslash instead of control and a backspace, nearly any keycap set is going to fit on these as long as it has the 1.5U modifiers and the 1.75U shift. So this keyboard is a lot easier to find keycaps for than the Plank was. It's also a lot easier to game on. I started playing more Valorant, so the numbers were something I was really missing on my Plank. And then having a big shift key is actually really, really nice for gaming. And then also having a big space bar, because if you're gaming, right, your thumb can be in any of these positions, whereas on my Plank it had to be right in the middle. So yeah, that's just the reason why I changed from the Plank to the Tokyo60. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it has been pretty explanatory, because I think that this is a fantastic keyboard, and it's one that I'm not seeing that much on like the mechanical keyboard subreddit. Even though I feel like it is a great option, it's one of the best entry-level keyboard builds, and it's one of the best HHKB layouts. Yeah, I'm going to put a couple typing tests at the end of this video, so you can really hear the differences between the stock version and the modded version. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hello, so today I have my Tokyo60 build right here. It has ePBT keycaps, obviously the case. It's got some Durock switches that I've stem swapped with Kale Silvers. But other than that, oh, and it has some Durock stabilizers that I have lubed. Other than that, though, it is completely stock. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a quick little sound test. Going to type for 60 seconds on it. This is a very basic level of keyboard modding. It just has the loop stabilizers, and the keycaps are better than average. But apart from that, it's entirely standard. So I'm going to record this typing test, and then in a couple weeks, when I get my MK Ultra foam, my GMK keycaps, when I've lubed and filmed my switches, then I'm going to do another typing test just so you can see what this difference of quality in terms of build is. Because the foam and the lube and the film comes out to a total of around like $40, so it's not an incredibly expensive upgrade to make. So I just want to kind of show the differences that can be made when you take these small changes. So let's do our little typing test right here. So that's about 108 words per minute. Now let's just do the keys. So as you can hear, it's very hollow in there without the foam. The integrated plate design definitely contributes to that. So now I'm going to wait until I get my foam and my film for my switches, and then I'm going to show you guys how drastic the change is. Hello. It has been a little bit more than a couple weeks since I did the first typing test. But here I am, I'm going to be doing the second typing test. So this is the same Durock switches, stem swapped with the Kale Speed Silvers, same Durock stabilizers, same Tokyo60. As you can see, we have GMK white on black, which I've put on it. I've lubed and filmed the switches, lubed and wholly modded the stabilizers, and then I'm just doing this on top of another mouse pad like I was in the previous one, just so you have some amount of sound dampening, and of course there's also the MK Ultra foam, as well as some sorbethane foam that I have put into the case itself. So I'm going to do another typing test now. Alright, and then the stabilizers. Alright, super turbo side note. I just finished editing the video about this keyboard right here, the Tokyo60, and this little clip will probably be put at the very end of that video after you've listened to both the sound tests. I streamed the building of this keyboard. I believe it's like a 2-hour long stream. It's streamed on my Twitch, which you can find linked to my channel. I rarely stream, but I do sometimes, and it's definitely worth following me there. But I will be uploading that to YouTube as a separate video. Probably won't be up for a few more days after this video, as I need to like go through and edit it, make sure it doesn't get DMCA'd and shit, and just go through and like add a little title card and shit. But expect that too if you want to see the actual building of this keyboard, because I can tell you how to build a keyboard, but if you have never actually built a keyboard, watching someone build one can be super helpful. And if you are specifically interested in this keyboard, then you might want to watch that video, because I build this keyboard. I will say, when I'm building that keyboard, I do not lube the switches, because that just adds 2 or 3 hours to the process. And frankly, I wasn't liking the idea of streaming for 5 hours. So I don't lube the switches in that stream, and I also have different keycaps in that stream, because I was still waiting on my GMK set to come in the mail. So don't be expecting to see either of those things. However, if you want to see the actual process of lubing stabilizers, tuning stabilizers, wholly modding stabilizers, putting foam in the case, all that stuff, definitely go check out that stream, and that will be up soon.